Okay, so do you want to set a timer? So I'm going to talk about two libraries, one of which I don't really care about too much. It's kind of, I needed some code that did something to talk about what I'm going to talk about. I don't know how many of you have heard of linear programming, but the idea is relatively simple. It's a particular type of problem that you can use mathematical techniques to optimize a function. So this idea here is that we have two pieces of Lego, small pieces and large pieces. This is a chair. We're going to make x2 of those. And this is a table. We're going to take x1 of those. So you need two small pieces for a chair, two large pieces for a bit of Lego. And we want to maximize the amount of money we can get by selling this Lego. And so we say we can sell a chair for a table for 1,600 and a chair for 1,000. And then we only have 6 large pieces and 8 small pieces. So this is what's called a linear program. The details of that don't matter too much. So that's our problem, and we can plot it, get a pretty plot in matplotlib. And what we're actually plotting there are these constraints. So that's the constraint about how many pieces of furniture I can make because of the blue, because of the chairs, the small pieces, sorry, and this is one for the large pieces. And there's a mathematical theorem that basically says that the optimal of any function will be either there, or there. So within this region, it will be at the vertex. Python's got a really nice library for solving it called pulp, the last LP for linear program. So we build a problem. We have two variables that have a low bound of 0. They're both integers. I add the objective function to it, and then I add the two constraints to it, and that's very nice. And we solve that, and once it's solved, we get the values, which are 2 and 2. So we should create 2 chairs, 2 tables. So that's great. That's really nice. I could then say, well, actually, let me make this a bit more usable. So let me write a Python function for this. Let me make this a bit bigger. Let me write a Python function that just does everything I've done. So I've said if the cost of the table is 1,600, the cost of the chair is 1,000, number of small pieces 8, number of large pieces 6. Do the exact bit of code I had and just solve that. So now I've got something that allows me to, if all of a sudden the price of Lego changes or the number of pieces I've got changes, I can do that relatively straightforwardly. And so chairs and tables with nothing, but chairs and tables with the number of large pieces being 20 and the number of small pieces being 30, then all of a sudden I'd create a different amount. Because basically what I'm doing by changing those numbers is changing the constraints in my model. But I don't want to have to open up a Jupyter notebook. I want to just be able to write a command line tool for it. So in Python, there's lots of tools for that. There's just the sys module. If you import argv, it'll automatically just read in the command line options you pass at the end. There's argparse, which is in the standard library. There's docopt, that I would argue is one of the favorites. You actually just write the help file. You write a really long string, which is the help file, and it parses that to know what the arguments are. But Google open sourced a library they call Fire. And the idea behind Fire is that, let me find out where my mouse has gone. No, that's not, I don't want to show everyone my emails. The idea behind Fire is that theoretically you have to do absolutely nothing. So that's just the same function I had. I import Fire, and I write if name equals main, fire.fire, and I pass that function to it. And then what I can do is just go Python main.py, run it with nothing. It spits out 2, so it's automatically inspected that Python object and written the arguments for me. And then finally, I can go number of small pieces. I'm doing that from memory. Let me go back here. Python dash dash. And it runs that, and it automatically parses the arguments and passes them to the function. I played around with this for the first time today. Theoretically, you can do dash dash help, and it's supposed to write out a help file. It did not with me. But it did just, if you want to do something quick and dirty, throw fire in, and you get a command line tool.